I'm sure you've heard in the news the horrific plane crash in India overnight. All but one passenger died when a Boeing 787, I think, Dreamliner headed for London crashed into a residential area in Ahmedabad, in the state of Gujarat, Narendra Modi's place of origin, in fact. Many more were killed on the ground. We thought we'd check in with Sydney's Indian community to see how people are responding to the news and the ways in which they're marking the sad occasion. Pawan Luthra, you will have heard many times on 702 in recent times on places like the Journos Forum. He's, of course, from India Link. Pawan, good afternoon.
Hi, Dom.
This is such sad news, and particularly, I guess, Air India is such a key part of the Indian-Australian experience too.
It is. Now, the Indian-Australian community, along with millions around the world, Dom, are in deep shock over this tragic incident. There's a death toll of about 250 and rising. So at this moment, all our thoughts and prayers are with the families of loved ones who were lost in this tragedy. And you're so right that Air India is such a loved airline for Indians, not only in Australia, but globally. I have traveled in this particular type of a plane regularly whenever I travel to India because it's a direct flight. So I don't have to change planes in Kuala Lumpur, Singapore, or anything like that. I just get onto the flight. I'm over there. And what I find amazing, Dom, is that this is so frequently used by parents who are visiting Australia because they have no language issues because the crew on board speak different Indian languages. They're familiar with the food. So it's such a comfortable airline to travel in. And something like this, where we had two pilots with over 9,000 hours of flying experience, there was over 126,000 liters of aviation fuel, which crash landed in a heavily populated area. It's so difficult to grasp.
Yeah, I mean, I guess for an Indian Australian, when you get on the national flag carrier, you get on Air India and you sink into the seat, it might feel like you're home already, right? The same way that I guess Qantas is for others of us.
So true.
Or like perhaps Virgin, there's a lot of Australian airlines, but yeah, still.
We may complain about service or food or other things, as Australians do complain about Qantas, but it is still our first choice of overseas travels. In terms of when Air India was acquired or sold out to the corporate house, the Tata Group, there was a lot of rejoicing in the community because Tata is known globally for the quality of services, professionalism, long-term vision. And you may recall that in 2023, Air India confirmed orders for 470 aircraft.
Yeah.
They placed orders just as they were coming out of COVID for 470 aircraft, which is one of the largest global airline orders of all time. So all Indians around the world, their hearts swell with pride. And then something like this happens, it just fills our heart with so much sorrow. And there's a lot of despondency amongst the Indian-Australian community.
Absolutely. And I'm sure, the messages have been flying between your networks, Pawan, and as Sydney's Indian community comes to terms with this real tragedy in Ahmedabad. I understand there's a vigil happening quite soon in Little India.
There is, at 5 p.m. As you know, Little India or Harris Park is the centre for Indian-Australian activities. And normally there are festivals and fairs and lots of singing and dancing and Bollywood. But tonight it's going to be rather somber as the community gathers at 5 p.m. in Harris Park in Vikram Street for a candlelight vigil. I do know that over the weekend there are going to be a lot of prayer services being offered in the different Indian temples and gurdwaras and other places of worship. I understand the Indian consulate in Sydney is planning on opening up a condolence book which people can sign into. So, as I said, the community is in deep grief, and this is something which we're all trying to come to terms with. We are an island nation. Airlines are our only way of connecting physically with the family and friends.
Yeah.
And Air India is such a good friend, and something happening to a flight like that with 242 people plus killed in such a tragic circumstance. Yes,
and I guess many people will be wondering about how and when to fly home. Let's hope that, without wanting to know exactly what's happened with this plane, and I haven't heard a reliable report of what's gone wrong at this stage. Just thinking of everyone who feels a bit isolated at this stage, Pawan, and feels cut off from home. That's not a great feeling. We know it well from COVID.
No, not at all.
Yeah. So
in terms of what's happening, I think there's going to be a fair bit of investigation. There are experts from literally all over the world flying in, and not only the airline, but the engine manufacturers of that plane, the countries involved, UK, Portugal, India. I guess all the best brains are going to work on this to make sure an incident like this never happens again.
Yeah, the first incident with the Dreamliner, I understand too. So there's a lot of
Correct.
questions about this plane. Pawan, our thoughts are with the Indian community in Sydney and anyone else affected by this. It's absolutely devastating, and we appreciate you joining us.